The Mississippi Energy Institute is a privately funded nonprofit business in Jackson, Mississippi. Our mission, briefly, is to assist the state in public policy development that will aid in energy-based development and overall economic growth in Mississippi.
What are we doing here today?
Well, today what we wanted to achieve is to have an event at one of our universities. We chose Mississippi State because of the strong engineering presence, and reach out to both high school and college-age students to inform them a little bit, briefly, on the opportunities that we think exist in energy. We think demand for energy-related employment and motivated, smart, talented, qualified young people pursuing careers in energy, we think the demand is going to be extremely high, and that's one of our areas of focus. As one of the speakers said, the workforce pipeline is something that is consistent across all areas of economic development, and we think energy is a very bright area of development here in Mississippi for prospective development. And what we're trying to achieve with this group of students was just to inform them on the vast opportunities associated with energy.
I know we've got a lot of high school students here with us today, and we're very honored to have you here with us on our campus. What a beautiful day to be here at Mississippi State University and to have an opportunity to get a real up-close, behind-the-scenes assessment about what's in store for your future and opportunities that abound for you, and for you to be thinking about at this young age right now as you're making critical decisions, again, about your future. We urge you to pay close attention to the blue ribbon panel that we'll have speaking here momentarily, and be prepared to even ask questions of this outstanding panel.
SmartSync was a smart grid technology company that was founded in Jackson, Mississippi, in that little house that you see up there on Pear Orchard Road across from the Mexican restaurant. I had way too many lunches at that Mexican restaurant back in 2000. It was started by graduates of Mississippi State and Ole Miss. And that company over 12 years grew to be a very significant technology company in Mississippi and in the world. It launched its first product in 2000. And its first product was something called a smart meter. And I don't know if any of you know what a smart meter is, but the simplest way to explain it is, think about an iPhone, all that technology that's embedded inside that iPhone, or iPad, as I have here. And we built that technology and put it inside an electric meter, the one that sits on the side of your house. And we allowed utility companies like Entergy and others to be able to access in real time all of that information over AT&T and Verizon's network, or if you're in Europe, over Orange's network or Vodafone's, or if you're in Mexico, over the Mexican wireless network. Okay, we were the first company in the world to do that. And it was done because of some really, really smart engineers that came out of our Mississippi universities, okay? The company grew and became fairly substantial over 12 years. We became the world leader in what was called cellular-based smart grid solutions. Once again, basically taking that iPhone and that iPad technology and putting it not only in smart meters, but later in other devices that utilities would use to be able to communicate with their assets out on the grid, things like poles and substations and transformers and all these devices out there, getting information just like you do with all your hundreds of apps, okay? Getting that information into the utility environment so they could be smarter and make better decisions, and so we could learn how to use our power better. Some other significant things about SmartSync is we became the largest venture capital-backed company in the history of Mississippi, raising way too much money, to be quite honest with you, way more than we needed, but $86 million over 12 years. We were the company based in Jackson was awarded over $700 million in business over 12 years, $700 million. I mentioned we were recognized as one of the most innovative smart grid companies in the world. One of the products we created in 2010, now listen to this, created by graduates of Mississippi State University and Ole Miss and Southern and our junior colleges, was rated the number four energy invention in the world in 2010. Number 4, okay, in the world, right behind nuclear fusion. Seriously. So amazing accomplishment by our employees. And then we sold the company on May 1st of this year for $100 million. And I put that number up there for a couple reasons. because I want you to understand, we started in a house, a 1,200 square foot house. 12 years later, we took $100 million and we distributed it to our shareholders and to our employees, okay? What happened in between those 12 years was amazing. We employed over 150 people. We hired graduates from 17 major colleges and universities in Mississippi. Almost every junior college and university had employees that worked at our company. We created over $75 million in income that got dispersed and generated throughout our city and our state. Okay, it was a technology company. Our average wage rate of an engineer that worked at our technology company made 3 times the state's wage rate average. It was $86,000 a year. Okay, and those are young, bright people. I remember we hired, every year we'd hire a token Ole Miss engineer, and then we'd go hire a few engineers from Mississippi State. And I remember we used to try to find the absolute best engineering student we could here, and we'd bring them on as interns in the summer, and then we would try like crazy to get them to stay with us when they graduated from Mississippi State, because they had tons of opportunity. And we were able to do that many times over, and they were some of our brightest employees. What's amazing about that is because we're connecting in so many ways, it creates an opportunity for numerous types of jobs. And I just wanted to highlight a few of those types of jobs that we're hiring. First of all, by building smarter grids, which is connecting all these assets, but we call it a smarter grid, you're creating smarter cities. And inside those environments, there are opportunities for people who are information technology majors, people who are helping create software that would create apps that would maybe go on your phone or on your iPad or in an environment. All of those people that are creating those things, those job opportunities are there, and they're high-paying jobs. Core engineers, just, you know, I told somebody one time, I said, you can't hire enough engineers. Now, I didn't say from Mississippi State. I just said you can't hire enough engineers, right? And that is true. Engineering is such a great field, and you learn so much about how to think and how to process information. You know, I'm a business major, and so, you know, what I quickly learned is, you know, business majors have their place in the world, but these engineers, they learn how to create in school, and it's a very, very powerful mindset. So, you know, this math and science school and these other schools that are here, what you're learning today is really putting you in a great position to add a lot of value to these companies, whether if it's exploration or it's technology or it's engineering or whatever it might be. So you're on the right path. Just pursue it. And you know what's interesting about how the world is changing, and I wanted to put this slide up here because it's very, very important, okay? You don't have to go far from home to get an amazing career in energy, okay? This is it's a few months old, but basically it highlights employee and facility locations of the leading smart grid vendors in the United States. And what you can see is in the southeastern part of the United States, there are more locations for energy, smart grid, technology companies than there were in California. Okay, and California's a huge place if you haven't been there. All right, you've got just as many opportunities in New York and the Northeast as you do in the Midwest. These jobs are everywhere. And you know, the world is moving from a place where if you were in technology, you used to say, hey, I have to move to Silicon Valley, or I have to move to Austin, Texas, or I have to move to the Research Triangle Park in North Carolina. You don't have to do that. Technology, if you want to pursue a career in technology, you can pursue a career close to home and right here. And that's different. When I graduated from school, that was not possible. And it is possible today because of the way the world is changing. And so, in finishing up, you know, this reminds me of that Robert Frost poem. Anybody learn that? Do you learn that in the math and science school? You learn a little poetry here and there. You know, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by. Well, that's a yellow wood, and there are 2 roads there. And you know, I really wish life was that simple, to be honest with you, because I don't know about you, but for me, the decisions that I have to make seem to look like this. Okay, I don't know which road to go down. All right, I really don't sometimes, and you know, this is what the array of decisions that you'll be facing you in the near term, whether if it's, you know, to go to Ole Miss or Mississippi State or get a job at home or abroad or whatever it might be. You're going to be faced with many, many decisions. The best advice I can give you, okay, if you hadn't heard anything else today, I want you to listen to this. The best advice I can give you is just pick a road, okay? Pick one. Just one, and go down it as fast as you can. When you get tired of it or you run into a roadblock, get off of it, but then get on another road, okay? And keep going. The world's not about picking one path now and staying on that path for the rest of your life, okay? That's not the world we live in. It's going to change. The average person stays in a job 2 or 3 years, okay, in today's world. But here's the point. When you get on a road, you go as fast as you can, you put forth the greatest effort you can, and you'll know when it's time to get off. But when it's time to get off, don't just sit on the sidelines, pick another road and go down it, okay? And it's the best advice I can give you from where most of you sit today. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I look forward to answering questions about the energy technology space.
What you think you may want to be today may be much different 32 years from now if you're in the opportunities to stand in front of a group of students. So what I want to talk to you about is that if you walked out of this room today, there's something I want you to realize, that from this point forward, the actions that you take can really set you on a positive path going forward on where you're going to be 10, 15, 20, and 30 years from now. I wish we had this opportunity 32 years ago when I was your age, sitting here and have an opportunity to once and stop and think about where are those opportunities, because you may not know exactly what it is you want to do, but I bet you every one of you in this room want to be successful, and success can be judged in many different ways. You probably want to be able to provide for a family and have children and go to school and live in a community and have a home. And that's what we're talking about today. We've got to have more of these discussions. Now, and everybody's story is going to be different. You're writing the story of your life today as you go forward. I came to Mississippi State, was a graduate here, loved this place. But when I came here and when I was sitting in your room, in your shoes, I never thought once about working for the electric utility industry. Never thought about that, or I would be the CEO of a utility one day. In fact, I went through college here, graduated. I was going into politics, went to Washington. I had the opportunity first to work on campus in in the Alumni Development Center here, and then went to Washington to work for U.S. Senator Thad Cochran. Made great lifelong friends, where Mark Keem and I first got to know each other working for Senator Cochran. But it was there where I started working on energy policy issues, working for the senator. And through that, I got to know, wow, I really became interested in this field. I learned a lot about utilities, public power, worked on a lot of things with TVA, with local utilities, worked on the Nuclear Waste Act. And it was through that I got an opportunity to join Entergy in their Washington office. Now, I am the most unorthodox electric utility executive you've ever seen. I have no engineering background, no operations. I came through the public policy side. We're a heavily regulated industry, which is dictated by legislation. And I hope what my example is, you never know where you may end up, and it's back to the point that Stephen told you. I think we become so impatient in life, we're ready to jump onto the next road that we sometimes forget about the adventures that may lie ahead of you on that road that you're on. So the most important thing is to get in there, and that's what I did. I jumped into this opportunity, joined their Washington office as a lobbyist. Yep, I'm one of those bad L words. I used to be a lobbyist for the electric utility industry. But it was through that the opportunities moved where I moved into operations, and then one day, who knew it? 16 years later, I became the CEO of electric utility for Entergy. Now let me tell you a little bit about Entergy. Some of you may not know who we are. We serve mostly the western part of the United States, but we're part of a large corporation, a Fortune 200 corporation that has two primary businesses. Regulated electric utilities. I'm responsible for the company here in Mississippi. We serve 435,000 businesses and residents that represent well over 1 million Mississippians. We're the largest utility in the state of Mississippi. We have sister companies that operate in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Southeast Texas. We also have another division in our company that owns merchant nuclear power plants in the Northeast. How would you like to know that Entergy Nuclear, based in Jackson, Mississippi, owns 2 nuclear power plants that supply 40% of the electricity into New York City? It's owned by a Mississippi company. We have tons of of engineers from Mississippi State operating nuclear power plants in New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, Michigan, and Nebraska, as well as 5 nuclear power plants here in the southeast in Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. We're the second largest owner and operator of nuclear power plants in the United States, based and headquartered in Jackson, Mississippi. We're the second cleanest utility in the United States. One of the biggest challenges that electric utilities industries are facing going forward is not only making sure where we're going to provide you with electricity, how it's going to come to you, but we have the responsibility to do it in an environmentally responsible way. And it's exciting to see what we're talking about now, renewables and new areas, a new generation of nuclear power plants, carbon capture sequestration that Richard talked about, the opportunities that lie ahead for the energy sector and also in the electric utility industry is tremendous.
Over the next 10 years, TVA expects, in partnership with our local power companies, to spend about $2 billion on energy efficiency. Once again, that's making these resources, using resources more wisely. Studies, and this is where we're getting into the jobs, studies indicate that for each $1 million that we invest, that's about 8 direct jobs, about 8 indirect jobs. So at the $2 billion investment, that's about 16,000 direct jobs that are going to be related specifically from TVA's investment in energy efficiency. So where will these jobs be? They'll be in traditional fields like utility program development, economists, math, business students, but they're also program managers, folks that actually are out talking to customers on how to use our product wisely, customer relation representatives, technology development. We heard a little bit about the transition from really how we used to do things to now being able to manage our end-use resources through smartphone applications, and I'm sure the other panelists will get into that. Marketing communications, once again, as I said, this resource is delivered one customer interaction at a time. You do that through markets, through communications, through those kinds of resources. The kinds of fields that we're talking about, going to go real high level, but for most of you in the room, as you're getting ready to embark on your collegiate journey, think about these fields, study where these are at, and recognize there are good paying jobs in the energy business in all of these fields. Architectural, engineering, designers in applications, electrical contractors, controls contractors, lighting manufacturers, lighting contractors, mechanical contractors. These are all placed with the very, very technical skills that you will bring through the next 10 years of your journey to our business. So with that, Sid, thank you.
Upon graduating from Mississippi State University in 1980 with an engineering degree, I began my career with City Service Oil and Gas Corporation in their Southeast Region office, which at the time was located in Jackson, Mississippi. During my 9-year tenure, Occidental Petroleum Corporation acquired City Service, and in 1990, when they decided to close the office, I struck out on my own to form and build my own company headquartered here in the state of Mississippi. In 1992, I began a series of acquisitions, acquiring properties from major and major independent producing companies, enhancing that production, and ultimately in 2002 formed Tellus Energy Systems, or Tenergis, the owner of those properties as well as other related companies, and along the way formed Tellus Operating Group, who owns and manages, who operates and manages those properties and is owned not only by myself, but by all of my employees as well. At the time of my employment, City Service was considered one of the junior majors, ranking about 13th in the world amongst the fully integrated multinational oil and gas corporations. Fully integrated, meaning that it had its E&P division, exploration and production, focused on the exploration, drilling, and production of oil and gas, a natural gas liquids division, NGL division, that processed raw natural gas from production of fields. It had one of the largest refineries in the world at Lake Charles, Louisiana, worldwide chemical companies and plants. as well as a transportation company, oil and gas pipelines that transported oil, gas, natural gas liquids intrastate and interstate, even a marketing division, had retail stations worldwide. Of the 13,500 employees, 200 were employed in the Jackson Region office. Engineers, geologists, accountants, business administration majors, computer programmers, and various support personnel. At that time, MSU, Mississippi State University, offered a degree for virtually every profession employed by city service, and many of those employees were city service. Well, as with city service and Oxy since the 1980s, the integrated majors and junior majors have merged. Today you hear of ExxonMobil, Gulf Oil merged into Texaco, which merged into Chevron, BP Amoco, ConocoPhillips. Mergers also resulted in Halliburton, Schlumberger, Baker, and Weatherford being the remaining multinational multi-product service companies. Given today's level of communication, I can't understand the attraction of a Houston or a New Orleans or a Lafayette or Midland, Odessa or Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to our home state of Mississippi. However, as young graduates, these are the cities where you will find a great number of energy companies headquartered. E&P producers, E&P service companies, pipeline processing, on down the line. Texas, California, Louisiana, Oklahoma are large producing states with some of the more companies having headquarters, other levels of subordinate offices. Primarily due to the efforts of Governor Bryant and former Governor Barber, again, Mississippi was ranked by the Fraser Institute as the #1 most friendly state in which to be involved in the energy business. Due to CO2 EOR and 3D seismic, Mississippi now produces more oil and more gas than it did in the 1990s, with only a fraction of the professional staff headquartered here at that time. So my final message to you, of those of you who seek and find employment in energy concerns, as you one day rise through the ranks of management, and you will, is to remember your home state for a region, district office, or even your headquarters. Remember your alma mater for your R&D needs. For Mississippi State University's capacities are second to none. And consider the cost of living, quality of life, and the impact of bringing high-paying professional jobs back to Mississippi. And as the number of good-paying support jobs you will afford Mississippians due to you having located an office in our state. Thank you.
I hope you can see just how important we believe this industry is. And you heard it from the experts. Stephen did pretty good in a 1,200-foot home, 1,200 feet. He changed the energy environment and didn't do bad. Now, I'm not saying you can develop a company that sells for $100 million. I hope you can. But we're saying here today the pathway to much of that opportunity will come through the energy sector. And we want you to be a part of it. This is a great university for that start. And so we're going to work hard. We're going to use all of the above energy policies that we talk about. So many ways so that your quality of life in the future will be even better than ours. That's what all of us old guys want, is we want your quality of life to be better. And we think we can do that with energy independence for America. Thank y'all so much. Sid, thank you.
We think that there's a deficit in students today of understanding the opportunities in this industry. Of course, we're not going to turn that around in one day, but it is a step. Just all I would ask of these students, all we ask of these students, is not to decide today that they're going to have a career in energy, but just to be interested enough to go investigate for themselves, to see if this is an opportunity that fits them.
It's a great opportunity to come and talk to high school students and seniors about opportunities in the energy sector. And I particularly want to talk about the electric utility industry. We are seeing an aging workforce, but at the same time we're having huge infrastructure needs and new technology coming in, and we're going to need a new workforce going forward. And we need a lot of students to focus in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math to provide us with the engineers, the finance, accountants that we're going to need to run these industries and businesses going forward. We spend a lot of money billions of dollars in capital, but those dollars are not worth anything unless we have good people working in our power plants and in our businesses. And so we want to come here today and give them hope that there are some great career opportunities in the energy sector.
My message is that the employment future is bright for high school students and college students seeking employment in the energy industry, the petroleum industry particularly, that the job forecast is bright. World demand coupled with world economic growth there'll be a bright future for graduates seeking employment.
Tell us, what is the future for energy in Mississippi, and how does that translate into employment for people seeking this as a career?
Well, there are multiple opportunities for energy growth in Mississippi, many ongoing today. Our company, as you know, is headquartered in Mississippi, and we find it an attractive environment for young professionals seeking employment here. So energy growth is good for Mississippi, and as well as the U.S. Production is increasing. Oil and gas production is increasing in Mississippi, as it is in other places of the U.S., arresting America's long decline.
TVA is very supportive in an efficient energy economy, and in fact, we're here to help as the state sees fit.
Energy jobs in the future are going to be rampant and abundant, and so the message is that there's a lot of those energy jobs based here in Mississippi, and we want our graduates to pursue them.
What was your reaction from what you heard from the students here today?
I think the students are excited to learn more, and what's encouraging to me is to be able to look out in the audience and see so many people paying attention and just excited to learn about a new and exciting field for them to pursue.
Jobs is what we're about with the TVA. We really want to bring low-cost power, reliable power, and economic development, and that is about jobs in our local communities.
It's exciting to see the interest shown by students. You know, as you get into high school and, of course, those in college, their career choices weigh on their minds heavily. So hopefully we can give a little brighter or a little clearer picture of what the opportunities are in our various sectors of the business.
First off, go to www.mei.ms. Look at our website, look at some of the material on our website. Our contact information is on there. You can reach out to us, we'll communicate with you.